now we have the privilege of having Schuyler, Rocky, Reidel join us this afternoon. So welcome to Business Opportunity of the Week, Rocky. And let's just dive right in. So
thank you. Yeah, great to be here.
Happy to have you. Happy to have you. So as we discussed before we started, or prior to hitting the record button, Rocky, the top 3 legal questions that many franchisees will not know to necessarily ask the franchisor before signing that franchise agreement. So can you just kind of take us into those top 3 legal questions, and then we'll have a little
Yeah, definitely.
How does that sound?
So, and it's hard to narrow it down to just 3. I'll say that too to start. But absolutely. So I know the first that we had chatted about was the territory restrictions in the franchise agreement and what those are, what they mean, really understanding that as a whole. And the reason that we focus on territory restrictions and counsel clients and how to understand it and the questions to ask and the areas to probe about, right? The facts that you want to learn about is that the territory is going to do different things for you as a franchisee. It's going to protect you, right? It's going to usually protect you from other franchisees jumping into your territory. It's also going to restrict you. Usually it will restrict you from selling or servicing clients outside of your territory. So it does different things, and you want to make sure that that territory, that size, and the restrictions that you're looking at for you as a franchisee is going to be the right fit for the brand. And what I mean by that is you want to think deeply about the type of target demographic you have for your concept. So for example, if you're a childcare concept or a childcare franchise unit, what type of childcare, right? Is this early education? Is this after school? Because that's going to likely inform where you should place your unit and the type of population that you want to have in your territory, right? An easy one would be elder care. So those are getting quite popular in the industry currently, elder care franchises. If you have an elder care franchise, the young hip part of Miami might not be the right fit for a territory, right? You want to skew towards areas that have an elder population that are aging and maybe that have families that have issues with placing elders in care, things like that. So territories is super important, and it's important from different levels, right? It's understanding the restrictions that you have on sales, restrictions that you have on servicing clients, the flexibility that it gives you in reaching out to people, whether that's strictly limited to your territory or not. And you got to think about it from a sustainability perspective. Is the population or the target demographic in your territory enough to sustain your business and help you thrive? Yeah, I mean, that's in a nutshell. I could go a lot longer, but
excellent. I know
yeah.
you can. I know
those
you
are the
can.
key.
I'm experienced. So let me just clarify. So territory restrictions, they cut both ways. One is they want to make sure that you're not selling outside of your assigned territory that you agreed to in the franchise agreement. That's understandable. But by the same token, the biggest benefit is you're also guaranteed that no other franchisees are going to be able to sell and market within your exclusive territory. Now,
correct.
100% of franchisors, Rocky, give exclusive territories, or are there ever a hybrid offered?
Yeah. So it's a good question. Now, one point of legal terminology is that under the FTC federal franchise rules, an exclusive territory is different than protected. And almost no franchisor gives an exclusive territory because that means that they will not allow any competition and they won't be able to do basically anything in your territory. Now, almost all franchisors give a protected territory. And that's what we typically think about by exclusive, which means protected in a sense that other existing franchisees will not be permitted to be placed within your protected territory.
Many entrepreneurial types have a strong desire to start their own business. However, they're not sure of the exact way or ways to fund their franchise or their startup. And that's why I put together this comprehensive, innovative funding strategies guide. It's going to walk you through the most popular methods available today to fund your franchise or your startup. It's going to include explanations on the SBA Express, the SBA 7A, home equity lines of credit, unsecured funding, portfolio loans, 401k rollovers, and a lot more. Download your free copy by clicking in the link in the description below.
70% of franchise systems will give a protected territory. The remainder of 30%, you're going to see some, like you mentioned, hybrids or maybe no territory. There are some, that's a significant minority, who give no territory, and you're just free for all. The other types of hybrid would be that you get a certain protection for your area, or maybe a small reduced protection area, but you're free to compete anywhere. Okay. Right? So there's different variations of that, but most systems, what's very common is that they will give you a protected territory.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, so let's jump to question number 2 that's extremely important, which is exit. I get so many questions from folks, hey, after really pushing this thing for 3 to 5 years, now I want to make an exit, retire, or jump into something else, or start stacking franchises. How does that look? What does that sound like?
Yep. So I boil it down to kind of the simplest forms, and basically there's going to be 4 options to exit as a franchisee. Your first, most common, and the simplest is you exit by selling your unit, right? You sell it just like any other business, and you get paid for that, and you walk away, right? It's a very clean, it's a very organized exit, and all the obligations are tied up nicely, right? It's all wrapped up in a bow for everyone. So that's the best. That's the way you want to shoot for. If that's not an option, another way you can exit is expiration, right? You can wait till the end of the term, whether that's 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or more. You wait till that expiration date and you elect not to renew. Now, the downside to that is you're not going to get paid, right? You built a business and you operated it, but no one's going to pay you at the end if you just let it expire and close. So it's a way to exit the obligations, but it's not necessarily the most ideal option for somebody who's built a business, right, and built their wealth. The third option is has become a little more popular lately, especially in the restaurant sector, because it's been a very tough year, and that's negotiated exits, right? So a negotiated or mutual termination. And that's where we reach out to the franchisor. We discuss terms on exiting and how to close down the unit. It is less than ideal, but it allows folks who have reached a point where they're unable or unwilling to continue operating the business a way to end their obligations and to tie it up cleanly and legally, right? All written and all in paper, and it's just, we're done with it and we've got to walk away. Now, usually there's some fees involved and some issues to wrap up, but it's something that is not unusual in the industry. And the last option is what I call going nuclear, and I don't recommend it, but that's abandoning the unit, walking away and locking the door and not coming back, right? So in that option, you're leaving a lot of loose ends. You will have your obligations still open, so the franchisor will have right to seek compensation from you for damages or fees and whatnot. So there's a lot of risk involved with that, but occasionally that sometimes is a necessary exit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the simplest in regards to the ways to exit a franchise agreement.
And of course, I would say 98% of the franchisors that I'm familiar with that are in our portfolio here at IPG anyway, they want a win-win scenario, even if
Definitely,
for whatever reason the business isn't doing what the franchisee anticipated. They would like the loose ends tied up for obvious reasons.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And there are benefits
Definitely.
to both sides of that equation, right? The franchisor.
Correct.
And the franchisee. Now, here's what's interesting. So in terms of exits, when I speak with our candidates, I like to tell them that, hey, you're performing in that top 25%, the top tier within that franchisor's group of franchisees nationwide. You're not going to have a problem with an exit strategy because many franchisors will also want a first right of refusal, right? They may want to purchase
most of them do
that outlet or those territories for themselves. And if not, I know we have a very strong resale opportunity inside of our IPG portal where
Correct.
many resales are being exchanged, bought and sold daily.
Definitely.
So what's your thinking about that?
So you're absolutely correct. Almost every franchise agreement will have a right of first refusal or purchase rights that the franchisor can step in and acquire your unit. I'll be honest, in my experience, I've been doing this 10 years. I maybe have only seen it once, maybe twice. It's less than a handful for sure. Um, in regards to the clients we represent in situations where I've been involved, it does happen. I've seen it in the industry, but it's not too common. Franchisors, frankly, they don't want to operate units usually, but it does happen. But the bigger, I think, point that you made is the resales. Franchises are bought and sold every day. It's not a detriment to be a franchise unit. It's just like selling a mom and pop shop. There's a little bit longer timeline in regards to getting some approvals from the franchisor, but it's a neutral. It's not a pro or a con, because some people are looking for that certainty and that brand recognition that a franchise offers. And then some others may not be. Some may be looking for more independence. So it's all in who you're marketing your business to and who you find that's a fit for it. And really, a lot comes into local, right? Being able to find a local buyer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. So let's go just a little deeper on that
Sure.
first right of refusal piece. So maybe the franchisor doesn't want to operate, but doesn't the franchisor have the right to hear about that sale first, and then
Yeah. Yes, they will have to approve it.
okay, they would have to prove it, and then also,
100%.
isn't it likely that if you're performing in that top 25% tier, that some of your colleagues in contiguous territories or cities, and or could be across the country, could say, "Hey, I want to make that investment," and then they tell the
Uh,
franchisor, and the franchisor somehow puts that partnership together. What do you think?
yeah. There are franchisors who do that very well, I will say. The more established franchisors, the ones that work very well with, I think, the broker networks or consultant networks, they usually have quite a sophisticated resale process, and will have sometimes a waiting list for existing franchisees who are looking for other territories, right, to keep growing. So yes, you're correct. The franchisor will be notified, right, and they'll have to approve the sale. Uh, and they may use the right of first refusal to do a transaction with other parties, but usually the franchisor just acts as a facilitator,
The
right?
facilitator.
They'll
Yeah,
they'll
very good.
exactly they'll put it in their listserv or whatever, their emails, and they will probably have some leads for you
Because an
as a
example that I
franchisee.
looked at, yeah, yeah, very good, Rocky. So an example that I kind of refer to is Mr. Spark Electric. I know that they had one franchisee who made a huge private equity exit recently. Like, I know that in the gaps from when he purchased his first one or two territories, he had to at some point acquire colleagues who said, "Hey, I
Yes,
want to exit the business." And he said, "Yeah, I'll buy it. And here's the price." And then we
definitely.
negotiate something
Yep.
along those lines. Okay, very good. So
Yeah.
perform in the top 25%, and one way or the other, you're probably not going to have a problem with an exit strategy.
Yeah. Right. It's all based on the numbers, which is true of any business.
Or just true of any
Exactly.
business. Very good. Very good. Okay, now let's tackle that other top, the third top question, legal question to ask: training.
Yes.
Why is that so important?
Training and support. So it's important because there's probably a lot of misconceptions where folks jumping into franchising, considering a unit, if they're not guided by a great counsel and great consultant from the beginning, they're probably going to have a lot of misconceptions, right? I see that where they join a system and they see the franchisor is promising this and promising that. A lot of what they promise, although, is probably discretion. It's at their discretion. It's not typically mandatory in the franchise agreement, right? The things that are mandatory are usually only a handful when you really get down to it. And that's going to be lending the manual. It's going to be licensing the brand, right? The trademark and the logo. And it's going to be initial training. A lot of the extra stuff is at the franchisor's discretion. So if it becomes unprofitable or it's not a fit for their system any longer, like a call center or running ads, digital ads for franchisees, the franchisors have the right to stop those typically. So understanding what you're actually signing up for and what assistance and training is offered is very important to avoid those misconceptions, because it avoids unhappy franchisees and people who feel misled and who feel like they have not been given what they've been promised or what's in the contract. And that's really, that's both of our roles as a consultant and an attorney. That's our role, is to educate the client about what they're signing up for, what they're getting into, and making sure it fits their business equation, right? The question they have to answer is whether it's the right fit or not. And that's our role, is to educate them about it.
Awesome. Awesome. You're amazing, Rocky. The one and only.
Thank
This
you.
is the real Rocky.
Right.
Okay.
There you
He's
go.
not from
That's
Philly.
right.
He's not from Philly. He's down South Beach, but
That's right. That's
excellent,
right.
Rocky. So if candidates or folks want to reach out to you, is it Reidel Law Firm or
Yep. ReidelLawFirm.com. You
Reidel.com?
can look my name up. Rocky Reidel, lawyer, should bring me right up. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, anyway, just search my name. You'll find me, pop up. You can reach out to us on the website and can always schedule a call there too.
Excellent, excellent. And if you can't catch up with Rocky, catch up with me, and I'll
That's
catch
right.
up with Rocky on your
That's
behalf.
right. That's
Okay.
right.
Again, great job,
Definitely.
Rocky. Now, listen, audience, you have just heard just a small fraction of the knowledge of Rocky, Schuyler Rocky Reidel. He's an amazing franchise attorney. He represents many of our candidates, and the guy's very, very knowledgeable. However, even though you've gotten a great overview on the legal piece, the top 3 legal questions, there's so much more that you need to learn about the franchise industry. And that's why I've recorded an entire series of videos that goes deeper into each key topic within the franchise industry, including funding. So please, the video that's showing on your screen now, click on that video and I'll see you there.